Professionalization of teaching teacher as a professional in the new normal. So class, let me discuss the first lesson, which is the basic laws on the professionalization of teachers. The Presidential Decree number 1006. This is basically about providing for the professionalization of teachers, regulating their practice in the Philippines and for other purposes. So from the word professionalization, yes, you are giving them recognition or a higher status or a license in their profession. This executive order was issued in 1977 by the late President Ferdinand Marcos, and before the Marcos time, teachers are not considered to be professionals. Under this policy, whereas or considering that all educational institutions shall be under the supervision of and subject to regulation by the state, which means the state is responsible for supervising and regulating all educational institutions. Whereas the Department of Education and Culture has adopted ways and means of overseeing all the educational institutions in the country. Whereas educational institutions inculcate in the studentry love of the country, teach the duties of citizenship, and develop moral character, personal disciplines, and scientific, technological, and vocational efficiency. Whereas accounts for the tremendous growth of the teaching population, whereas regulate the teaching profession, whereas recognition of the vital role of teachers in nation building, whereas development of proper attitude among the citizenry. And now, let us go through the following sections under the Presidential Decree number 1006. Section 1, the title. Presidential Decree number 1006 is also known as the Decree of Professionalizing Teaching. In Section 2, we have the Declaration of Policy. A policy that teacher education shall be the primary concern and attention of the government. In Section 3, we have the definition of terms. First is teaching. It refers to the profession primarily concerned with classroom instruction. Next is teacher, refers to all persons engaged in teaching at the elementary and secondary levels. Last is the board, refers to the National Board for Teachers duly constituted under this decree. Under the Section 4, we have the creation of the National Board for Teachers. Under the co-chairman is the Secretary of Education and Culture, Chairman, Civil Service Commissioner. Under the member, we have Commissioner, Professional Regulations Commission or the PRC, and 2 members representing the private sector to be appointed by the President. In Section 5, we have the powers and duties. So first is appoint a set of examiners. Next is fix the places and dates of examination. Third, look from time to time into the conditions affecting the practice of the teaching profession. Next, professional teachers certificate. Next is appoint officials and employees. Next is collect examination and other fees. And lastly, promulgate rules and regulations. So what is the word promulgate? Promulgate means to declare or announce publicly or to proclaim. Section 6, qualification requirements for examination applicants. Requirements, first, you must be a citizen of the Philippines. Next is must have a good moral character, a good personality, or a good attitude. Next is free from any physical or moral defect. Lastly is possess the following minimum educational qualifications. Under Section 7, we have the appointment of examiners. In this section, appointed examiners of the board are recognized authority in the teacher education. The examiner shall receive compensation provided in additional to his salary. Section 8, the scope of the examination. So there is a written test determined by the board. Section 9, ratings in the examination. At least 70% in all subjects, with no rating below 50% in any subject. In Section 10, we have the report of the results of the examination. So at least 150 days after the last day of the examination, extended by the board. So this is the waiting period, 150 working days before the result. Section 11, issuance of certificate. So after the result, the person who passed the exam will be given a certificate. Section 12, registration. Registration shall evidence that the registrant is entitled to all the rights and privileges of a professional teacher until and unless the certificate is suspended or cancelled by the board for just cause. So you need to be registered so that you're duly titled as a professional teacher. Section 13, reissuance of revoked certificates and replacement of lost certificates. So if you lost or misplaced your certificate or license, of course you can get another one, but it's a long process. Section 14, registration by reciprocity. So for example, you are a foreigner and you want to teach in the Philippines, so they will evaluate your license if it's okay or visible in the Philippines. Section 15, prohibition. No person shall engage in teaching or act as a teacher unless he is holder of professional teacher certificate. So in section 16, penal provision. So if the person was caught, so a fine of not less than 1,000 nor more than 5,000 with an imprisonment of not less than 6 months nor more than 2 years, or both such fine and imprisonment at the discretion of the court. Next is section 17, the repealing clause. The section 18 is separability clause, and section 19 is effectivity, that is take effect on January 1, 1977.
Hi everyone, today I'm going to report about the Republic Act number 7836 in December 16, 1994, an act to strengthen the regulation and supervision of the practice of teaching in the Philippines and prescribing a licensure examination for teachers and for other purposes. Be it enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the Philippines in Congress assembled. Section 1, short title. This act shall be known as the Philippine Teachers Professionalization Act of 1994. Section 2, statement of policy. The state recognizes the vital role of teachers in national building and development through a responsible and literate citizenry towards this end.
Section 3.
Objective. This act has been inherent objective: the promotion, development, and professionalization of teachers and the teaching professions, and the supervision and regulation of the licensure examination. Section 4. Definition of terms. For purposes of this act, the following terms shall means: teaching refers to the profession concerned primarily with classroom instruction at the elementary and secondary level in accordance with the curriculum prescribed by the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports, whether on part-time or full-time basis, in the private or public school. Teachers refers to all persons engaged in teaching at the elementary and secondary level, whether on full-time or part-time basis, including industrial arts, vocational teachers, and all other persons performing supervisory and or administrative functions in all schools in the aforehead levels and qualified to practice teaching under this act. Board referred to a board for professional teachers duly established and constituted under this act. Commission refers to the Professional Regulation Commission. Article 2, Board for Professional Teachers. Section 5, Creation and Composition of the Board. There is hereby created under this act a board for professional teachers, hereinafter called the board, a collegial body under the general supervision and administrative control of the Professional Regulation Commission. Hereinafter refers to the commission composed of 5 members who shall be appointed by the President of the Philippines. Section 6, Duty and Functions of the Board. Section 7, Term of Office. The member of the board shall hold office for a term for 3 years for the date they assume office, provided that the first appointees of the board under this act shall hold office according to the following terms. 1 member shall serve for 1 year, 1 member for 2 years, the chairman or vice chairman, and the 1 member of 3 years. Vacancy shall be served for the unexpired term only. No person who have served for 2 consecutive terms shall be eligible for reappointment. Appointment to fill an unexpired term shall be considered an appointment to a complete term. Section 8. Qualification of board members. Each board members must, at the time of his appointment, be a citizen and resident of the Philippines, be at least 30 years of age, of proven integrity, and possess a high moral values in his personal as well as professional conduct, and has not been convicted of any offenses involving moral turpitude. Be a holder of a degree of Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science in Education, and preferable a holder of a Master's of Doctorate degree in Education. Section 9. Compensation of the Board. The chairman, vice chairman, and a member of the board shall receive compensation comparable to the compensation received by existing regulatory board under the Professional Regulation Commission. Section 10. Supervision of the board and custodian of each record. The board shall be under the supervision and control of the commission. All records, including application of examination paper and results, minutes of deliberation, administrative cases, and investigate cases, and investigation involving professional teachers shall be kept by the Commission. Section 11. Secretariat and Support Services. The Professional Regulation Commission, through its chairman, shall provide and secretariat and other support services to implement effectively the provision of this Act. Section 12. Removal of the board member. The chairman or any member of the board may be removed by the President of the Philippines upon recommendation of the Commission for neglect for duty, incompetence, unprofessional, unethical, immoral, or dishonorable conduct. Article 3. Examination and Registration. Section 13. Examination, registration, and license required, except as otherwise specifically allowed under this provision of this Act. All application for registration as professional teachers shall be required to undergo a written examination, which shall be given at least once a year in such places and dates as the board may determine upon approval by the Commission. A valid certificate of registration and a valid professional license from the Commission are required before any person is allowed to practice as a professional teacher in the Philippines, except as otherwise allowed under this Act. Section 14. Scope of Examination. The examination of the elementary and secondary school teachers shall be separated. The examination for teachers in the elementary levels shall consist of 2 parts, namely, professional education and general education. The examination for teachers in the secondary level shall consist of 3 parts, namely, professional education, general education, and field of specialization. Section 15. Qualification requirements for application. No applicant shall be admitted to take examination unless, on the date of filling of the application, he shall have complied with the following requirements: a citizen of the Philippines or an alien who countries has the Philippines or an alien who countries us reciprocally with the Philippines in the practice of the teaching profession. Section 16. Report of the result of the examination. The board shall within 120 days after the examination reports the rating obtained by each candidate to a Professional Regulation Commission for approval and appropriate action. Section 17. Issuance of Certificate of Registration and Professional License. The registration of professional teachers commences from the date his name is enrolled in a roster of professional teachers. Section 18. Oath before practice. Every registrant shall be required to take his professional oath before practicing as a professional teacher. Section 19. Periodic merit examination for teachers to encourage continuing professional growth and development and to provide additional basis for merit promotion. Section 20. Failure to pass the merit examination. If a teacher fails to pass the merit examination, he or she shall be allowed to take the examination for the second time. Should he or she fail to pass merit examination for the second time, then he or she shall be required to take the DECS, accredited refresher course or program before being allowed to retake the examination. Section 21. Insensitive teachers who pass the merit examination shall be awarded a diploma of a merit by the board. Earn merit points for purposes of promotion in salary or to higher position or grade level. Be placed in a priority list for government scholarships and enjoy such other benefits as may be promulgated by the board. Section 22. Integration of the teacher professions. The teaching profession shall be integrated into one national organization, which shall be recognized by the board and the commission as the one and only integrated and accredited association of professional teachers. Section 23. Revocation of the certificate of registration, suspension from the practice of the teaching profession, and cancellation of temporary or special permit. Section 24. Registration by reciprocity. No teachers of a foreign nationality shall be admitted to the examination or be given a certificate of registration or be entitled to any of the rights and privilege under this Act. Section 25. Roster of professional teachers. A roster of professional teachers containing the names and addresses of professional teachers, dates of registration or issuance of certificate, and other data which is opinion of the board may appear pertinent shall be maintained. Section 26. Registration and exemption. 2 years after the effectivity of this Act, no person shall engage in teaching and or act as a professional teachers as defined in this Act. Article 4. Provision related to a practice of the teaching profession. Section 27. Inhabitation against the practice of the teaching profession. Except as otherwise allowed under this Act, no person shall practice or offer to practice the teaching profession in the Philippines or to be appointed as a teacher to any position called for a teaching position within having previously obtained a valid certification of registration and a valid professional license from the Commission. Section 28. Penal provision. The following shall be punishable by a fine or not less than 5,000 pesos, nor more than 20,000 pesos, or imprisonment or of at least 6 months, no more than 5 years. Section 29. Appropriation. Such sum as may necessary to carry out the provision of this Act shall be included in the 1996 General Appropriation Act and thereafter. Section 30. Implementing guidelines. The board shall formulate and adopt the necessary guidelines for the implementation of the provision of this Act within 60 days of its approval. Section 31. Transitory provision. All incumbent teachers in both public and private schools not otherwise certificate as professional teachers by virtue of this Act shall be given 5 years temporary certificate from the time and Board of Professional Teachers is organized within which to qualify as required by this Act and be included in the roster of professional. Section 32. Separability clause. If for any reason, any section or provision of this Act or the application of such section or provision to any person or circumstances is declared unconstitutional or invalid. Section 33. Repealing clause. All laws, presidential decrees, executive orders, rules and regulation or parts thereof inconsistent with the provision of this Act are hereby repealed or modified accordingly. Section 34. Effectively clause. This Act shall take effect after 15 days following its complete publication in the official gazette or in 2 newspapers of general circulation. This is Act approved by December 16, 1994.
Republic Act Number 9293, an Act amending certain sections of Republic Act numbered 7836, or what we call RA 7836, otherwise known as the Philippine Teachers Professionalization Act of 1994. Amending means making minor changes of this act. Republic Act 9293, also known as the Philippine Teachers Professionalization Act of 2004, amends Republic Act 7836, or the Philippine Teachers Professionalization Act of 1994. This act makes changes to the licensure examination for teachers, the qualification required for exam takers, and the composition of the board for professional teachers. It's all about ensuring the highest standard of quality for the education sector in the Philippines. It aims to enhance the quality of education by ensuring that teachers must meet certain qualification and standards. First is licensure. Republic Act 7836 mandates that all teachers in the Philippines must obtain teaching license issued by Professional Regulation Commission, or what we call PRC. This demonstrates the importance of qualified, competent teacher in the education system. Second is qualification. The law outlines the qualification and standards for becoming a licensed teacher, including educational requirements and passing the licensure examination. And the third, continuing professional development. Republic Act 7836 emphasized the importance of ongoing professional development for teachers. You can illustrate how teachers are required to participate in activities that enhance their skills and knowledge to ensure they remain effective educators. Fourth is ethical and professional standards. This law includes the code ethics for teachers, setting guidelines for their behavior and conduct within the profession. This demonstrates the commitment in maintaining the high ethical standards in education. Fifth is regulatory body. The law established the Professional Regulation Commission, or what we call PRC, as the regulatory authority responsible for administering teachers' licensure exams, monitoring teachers' performance, and enforcing the professional standards. And lastly, for Public Act 9293, penalties for violation, we can mention that the law emphasizes penalties for individuals who practice teaching without a license or violates its provision, underlining the importance of adherence to the law. The Republic Act 7836 is an act that established the policies to regulate and improve the practice of the teaching profession in the Philippines. Republic Act 7836 has elevated the teaching profession in the Philippines, ensuring that educators meet the specific standards and qualifications which ultimately benefits the quality of education in the country. It's crucial to consult the full text of the law and relevant educational authorities for the most current and detailed information.
So good day class, so I am going to talk about the Republic Act 4670, also known as Magna Carta for Public School Teacher. So take note, so Magna Carta is mean Great Charter. So the first is Declaration of Policy Coverage. This act shall be known as the Magna Carta for Public School Teachers and shall apply to all public school teachers except those in the professorial staff of state colleges and universities. Manuel B. Villar Jr. was envisioned to provide programs for the promotion and improvement of the well-being and economic status of public schools teachers. This law was enacted on June 18, 1966. Section 2, Title Definition. As mentioned in Section 1, Magna Carta for Public School Teachers, the term teacher shall mean all persons engaged in classroom teaching, including guidance counselor, school librarians, industrial arts, or vocational instructors, and or all performing supervisor. Second, recruitment and career. To become a teacher, one of the qualification is that, according to Section 3, is that you need to have a bachelor's degree and you need to have a professional license.
We're going to talk about the Magna Carta, hours of work and remuneration. So Section 30, teaching hours. So any teachers engaged in actual classroom instructions shall not be required to render more than 6 hours of actual classroom teaching. or which shall be so scheduled as to give him time for the preparations and corrections of exercises and other incidental to his normal teaching duties. Section 14. Additional compensation. Notwithstanding any provision of existing law to the contrary or co curricula and out-of-school activities and other activities outside of what is defined as normal duties of any teacher shall be paid an additional compensation of at least 25% of his regular remunerations after teaching has completed at least 6 hours of actual classroom teaching days. Section 15. Criteria for salaries. Teachers' salaries shall correspond to the following criteria. First, or A, they shall compare favorably with those paid in other occupation requiring equivalent or similar qualifications, training, and abilities. B, they shall be such as to ensure teacher a reasonable standard of life for themselves and their families. And last, they shall be properly graded so as to recognize the fact that certain positions require higher qualifications and greater responsibility than others, provided, however, that the general salary scale shall be such the relation between the lowest and highest salary paid in the profession will be of reasonable order. Narrowing of the salary scale shall be achieved by raising the law and of the salary scale relative to the upper end. Section 16. Salary scale. Salary scales of teachers should provide for grateful progression from a minimum to a maximum salary by means of regular increments, granted automatically after 3 years. 3 years, provided that efficiency rating of a teacher concerned is at least satisfactory. The progression from the minimum to maximum of the salary shall not extend over a period of time. Section 17. Equality in salary scales. So the salary scales of teachers whose salaries are appropriated by a city, municipal, or municipal district, or provincial government shall not be less than those provided for teachers of the national government. So, example for Section 17 or equality in salary scale is a teacher named Maria. So, Maria works for a municipal government and is entitled to a salary appropriated by the local government. So, her salary shall not be less than that provided for teacher of the national government, ensuring equality in salary scales across all levels of government. Section 18. Cost of living allowance. So, teacher salaries shall to vary respectively to the rise in the cost of a living by the payment of a cost of living allowance. So, which shall automatically follow changes in the cost of a living index. So, the Secretary of Education shall, in consultations with the proper government entities. Section 19. A special hardship allowance. So, in areas in which teachers are exposed to hardships, such as difficulty in commute to the place of work or other hazards particular to the place of employment, so as determined by the Secretary of Education, they shall be compensated special hardship allowances equivalent to at least 25% out of their salary monthly. Section 20. Salaries to be paid in legal tender. Salaries for teachers. So, teachers shall be paid in legal tender of the Philippines, or its equivalent in checks or treasury warrants provided. So, however, that such checks or treasury warrants shall be cashable in any national, provincial, city, or municipal treasurer's office or any banking institution operating under the law of the Republic of the Philippines. Section 21. Deduction prohibited. So, no person shall make any deduction whatsoever from the salaries of teachers, except under a specific authority of law authorizing such deductions, provided, however, that upon upon written authority executed by the teacher concerned. So first, lawful dues and fees owing to the Philippines Public School Teachers Associations, and two, premiums properly due on insurance policies shall be considered deductible. I'm going to talk all about health measures and injury benefits. So, and section 22, medical examination and treatment. So, compulsory medical examination shall be provided free of charge for all teachers before they taken up teaching. So, and shall be repeated not less than once a year during the teacher's professional life. Section 23. Compensation for injuries. So, teachers shall be protected against the consequences of employment injuries in accordance with existing law. So, example for this section 23 are compensations for injuries. So, if teacher John sustained an employment-related injury, so he is entitled to compensation in accordance with existing laws. So, this ensures that teachers are protected against the consequences of work-related injuries and are provided with the necessary support and benefits. I'm going to talk all about leave and retirement benefit. So, in section 24, study leave. So, in addition to the study leave privileges now enjoyed by the teachers in the public school, they shall be entitled to study leave not exceeding 1 school year after 7 years of service. Section 25, indefinite leave. So, an indefinite leave or an indefinite leave of absence shall be granted to teachers when the nature of the illness demands a long treatment that will exceed 1 year at the least. Section 26, salary increase upon retirement. So, upon retirement, an S&T personnel shall automatically be granted one salary grade higher than his or her basic salary, and retirement benefit shall be computed on the basis of the highest salary reserved pursuant to section 14 of RA No. 8439.